Play mode.
स्वागतं नमस्कारः अद्य स्थिरवासरः दिनाङ्कः दशमः प्रथमो भागः व्याकरणभागः. Welcome, today is Saturday, December the 10th. This is the first class. This is the Vyakaranam Vibhagah. Yastu Mangalacharanam Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Abhihata Nishacharachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम् रामे चित्तले सदा भूत मे भो राम मामुद्धर राम रामेति रामेति रमे रामे मनोरमे सहस्रनाम तत्तुल्यं राम नाम वरानने. श्री राम नाम वरानन ओं नमः इति. अथ श्री माहेश्वर सूत्राणि अ इ उन् ऋल ऋक् ए ओंग I ouch hayavarat lಣ್ ङ मङ ण नम जभङ घडदश जब गडदश ख फ छ ठ थ च ट थव क पै श श सर हल. इति माहेश्वर सूत्राणि. So one more time, this is December 10th, dashamah dinankaha. First part of the class, Vyakarana Vibhagah. Tinganta Prakaranam. Okay, as usual thanks to Kumud and Radha and for a lot of the work on the examples, and Ravi is recording faithfully all the time. Thanks to Ravi also and all of you who replied to the comments. Let us start. Last time, and the usual disclaimer, anything we say in the class is to be verified from the Kaumudi or the Bhashyam or the Kashika. It's only food for thought, not the final verdict. This grammar is such that nothing is the final verdict. It's always food for thought. But okay, let us start. So last time we were looking at some rules which apply when the nich pratyaya follows. So last time's document we were here. We looked at some rule. We looked at mitam hrasvaha. We looked at jani jirush kanasuranjo mantascha, the ganasutram. Then we looked at adech upadesha shiti. Of course, this rule applies not only when nich follows. It applies any time you have an ajanta dhatu. It takes the akara adesha as long as there's no shit pratyaya going to be coming. Then we looked at kreen jina nyau, and then we looked at hanasto chinnaloho, and then rabhera shablitoho. Labheshcha, I think, okay, and dosho, no, I think we stopped there with that one. And also the ruha ponyatarasya. You had a lot of examples. I hope you have some practice. These classes are only good if you look at the daily examples. So all your daily examples which come to every day, you get questions every day. So that is the backbone of all the classes. Because we only have the class twice a month. There's not enough time to, give examples in the class. But okay, so today let's continue with that topic, and we finish that topic. We cannot take every sutram in the class, but give you a fair idea of the kind of operations which might take place. Nich pratyaya follows. Nich, of course, as you know, comes in two ways. It can be swarthe nich, churadibhyo nich, which is 3125. But dhatu belongs to churadigana. Or it can be hetumati cha. Any dhatu in the causative sense with any gana, this pratyaya can be used. Hetumati cha, like sthapayati, karayati, and so on is form bhavayati, etc., etc. On the other hand, you can have chorayati, kathayati. That's 3125. Okay, but the operations many of the operations are common. Of course, some operations are only for specific dhatus. The dhatu is not in churadigana, it must be the hetumati nich. Let's look at one dhatu like that. This is a peculiar dhatu, but it's an important dhatu. I was debating whether to put this in a document or not, but since it's an important dhatu, it gives you an idea of the complexities which might come in. This dhatu is nibhi bhaye, means bibheti is to be afraid, and when you scare somebody else, this dhatu takes some special operation in certain conditions. So let's look at the first sutram, which is bibheter hetu bhaye. Look at the number 6156. In the last class we already delved into this section. We delved in here. We delved into adech upadeshe shiti, an anuvritti of at is coming down there. We also looked at this one, kreen jinam now, so we had that. And now we are looking at the Vibheter Hetu Bhaye, which is 6156. Anuvritti is coming down here. Of now is coming down, Nishpratya follows, and of course At is coming from 6145. The Anuvritti of At, Akara, comes from 6145. So now we are studying, we have now in this document, as you can see, we have more than 450 rules. So by this time we have some fair idea of the Ashtadhyayi. One thing in this class we try to do all the time is keep in touch with the Ashtadhyayi. Even though we are doing the Prakriya Marga, which is, trying to derive these forms, we are picking and choosing from different parts of the Ashtadhyayi. Try not to lose the big picture of the Ashtadhyayi. So 6156, we can now expect some operation which takes place, then Nich Pratyaya follows, and it's going to be an Akar Adeshaha. Look at the conditions here, but it says that Bibheter Echa means Echaha Atom Vasyat Prayojakat Bhayanchet. Okay, so Bibhetehe. Long time back we looked at this Vartikam Ikshtapo Dhatu Nirdeshe. To refer to a Dhatu, Panini could use this pratyaya ik after the dhatu or the shtip. When the shtip pratyaya is used, then the respective gana vikarana, the vikarana will come. So here bibheti, the form bibheti is pratham purusha ekavachanam of the dhatu nibhi bhaye. So pratyaya shtip has been used. What I'm talking about is this vartikam ikshtipo dhatu nirdeshe. So when you see bibhetehe, it means that he's talking about the dhatu bhi. It's ikshtipo dhatu nirdeshe. Ikshtipo dhatu nirdeshe. Let's see if I can find the vartikam for you. Dhatu nirdeshe, dhatu nirdeshe. Good thing is that these documents can be searched, even though it takes a lot of time to make these documents. They are now available to us to search. Let me see if I can get this to cooperate with me. Okay, let me see. We've done this Vartikam. Ikshtipo dhatu nirdeshe. Okay, let me try. Dhatu nirdeshe. Yeah, here it is. Ikshtipo dhatu nirdeshe iti vaktavyam. This was done way back on, well, a few weeks back. I don't have the date over here, but okay. So this one, the number in the document here is number 366, ikshtipo dhatu nirdeshe. So the affix ik and also shtip may be used by Panini to refer to a dhatu, a verbal root. Right now what we have in this sutra is bibhetehe. Echaha atmasya. So bibhete shashti ekavachanam of bibheti. Bibheti simply means the dhatu nibhi bhaye, which is being used in the sutra as bibheti. So bibheti does not really mean anything to do with the third person singular. It is just a reference to the dhatu nibhi bhaye by that vartikam which I just showed you, which is ik shtipau dhatu nirdeshe. The pratyaya shtip has been used. Okay, it says atom vasyat. It takes the akar adesha optionally, but there's one more condition there. Prayojakat bhayanchet. Prayojakat bhayanchet. This prayojakaha is used by Panini in the Ashtadhyayi to in the definition of what defines as hetu. What is the hetu? So we have this sutram which is swatantra karta tat prayojako hetushcha. So prayojakaha, one who instigates, one who propels, one who causes someone actually is called the hetu. So what the sutram says is that is bibheter echaha atvam vasyat prayojakat bhayanche. So it's so vasya, optionally substitution of akaraha. As we said, the anuvritti of at is coming from 6145, which should not be any surprise to us. 6145, we already seen the sutram adech upadeshe shiti. Anuvritti of at is coming from there. So this is optionally a substitution of akaraha in place of the h. H means aong, I ouch, a o, I o. Letter of the verbal root. This sutram only applies to this one verbal root. Jibhi bhaye means to be afraid. If the hetu means that tat prayojako hetushcha, one who's causing someone to be afraid, one who's making somebody afraid, is directly the cause of the fear. So we see the examples down here. So example down here would be, it is jatilaha bhishayate bhapayate. So jatilaha, an ascetic with matted hair. he scares somebody. Now he is scaring somebody himself, not through some other agency. That is what is meant by hetu bhaye. He is the hetu. He is the cause of the fear. He is causing somebody to be afraid. And the fear comes from him, not through an instrument, not through another instrument. That's what is meant by hetu bhaye. So one more time. Vibhete recha attam vasyat prayojakat bhayan chet. There is optionally a substitution of a akara in place of the h. That also anuvritti comes from 6145. Adech, ad echaha. Nrityam 6145 is coming down. Always keep track of the Ashtadhyayi. That is the Mula Shastram. Never lose sight of that. So, optionally, substitution of a akara in place of the h of the dhatu nibhi bhaye if the hetu is directly the cause of the fear. So, that's what this sutram says. Now, we have to do a couple more details before we can derive the form. There are two more things which are going to be important here. First thing is that we have used this sutram repeatedly in the examples and also in the class, which is 1374, which is nichascha. Nichascha says that if the basically a nijanta dhatu will become ubhayapadi in short. I mean, technically speaking, in the kartrivipray kriyaphale will be atmanepadam and anyatra parasnepadam. So technically speaking, in the fruit of the action that proves to a doer will be atmanepadam, otherwise parasnepadam, but that distinction is not really followed that much in the language. So basically a nijanta dhatu will be ubhayapadi. And that time I also warned you that this was only a general sutram. There will be some special rules which will come and affect special situations. So we have one such rule right now. And that rule is this one, which says bhismayor hetu bhaye. Look at the number 1368. The moment you look at 1368, it should let you know there's something about the padavyavastha. The padavyavastha means atmane padam parasya padam kada bhavati. So kutra bhavati. So when does atmane padam parasya padam? So this number from 1312, which is our sutram anudatta gnita atmane padam, up to the end of 13 apada samapte he, it is the padavyavastha, means atmane padam parasya padam. So when you see a number like 1368, we should immediately know this is talking something about using atmane padam or parasya padam. And parasya padam starts from the sutram which we know, sheshat kartari parasya padam, which is 1378. So the number is 1368. It must be some atmane pada vidhanam, talking about something with atmane padam, because parasya padam mainly starts from here, sheshat kartari parasya padam. So what does sutram say? Again, it has the term hetu bhaye, that hetu bhaye term, which we just described as if that prayojakat bhayanchet, that or hetoho bhayanchet. So the fear should be, so somebody should be causing fear not through an agency but by himself. Okay, then what happens? The sutram says bhismayor hetu bhaye. This applies to two verbal roots now. Not only to bhi but also this dhatu smi. This prior sutram which we saw, bibheter hetu bhaye, is only for dhatu, one dhatu only. So it's nibhi bhaye only. But bhismayor hetu bhaye applies to two dhatus. And what does it say? Nyanta, so nyantabhyam, so nyantabhyam abhyam atmane padam syad dhetoschet bhayasmayo. So nyantabhyam means if the dhatu nibhi bhaye or the shming ishad dhasane. Smi is to smile. The word is same in English, right? Smile in English, smi in Sanskritam, the dhatu, the root is that. So when either the dhatu bhi or dhatu smi, which ends in the nich pratyaya, so basically in the causative form, when such a dhatu is there, it will take atmane padam only on the condition that hetosched bhayasmayau. So means that when those smi is to smile, to cause someone to smile means to kind of to make him wonderstruck, to astonish somebody, to cause somebody to smile, means to, particularly with the upasarga vi, it means to cause wonder, to astonish somebody. So when we have one more time, if we have this dhatu nibhi bhaye or this dhatu shming ishadhasane in a causative form, it will only take an atmanepadam ending on the condition that hetosched bhayasmayau, that the fear or the wonder should be caused by the causative agent himself, not through something else. So the vritti says nyanta abhyam abhyam atmanipadam syadhetosched bhayasmayau. So atmane pada pratyaya shall be used after the causative of these two verbal roots bhi nibhi bhaye and smi, which is shmingishadhasane, when the hetu is directly the cause of the fear or the astonishment. So now what we have, so right now we are considering dhatu bhi right now. So we are going to get two things hetu bhaye so far. So optionally atvam vasyat, and second thing atmanepadam is going to be required when hetu bhaye. Now third thing is that it says that bhyo hetu bhaye shuk. Look at these two. It says, hetu bhaye, these three things are being repeated. So this is one specific situation. As I said, this is very specific to these one or two dhatus, but it gives you a flavor, of the thing you might expect to see. Not expect, but you should be ready for when some causative forms are used. So let's look at this last one now. It says that bhyo hetu bhaye shuk. It says that 7340. First of all, there's something kind of a little bit strange in the sutra itself. It says bhi iti ikaraha prashlishyate. So bhyaha. So this is a shashti ekavachanam. Bhyaha. But shashti ekavachanam of bhi, or the pratipadikam bhi. Of course, that shashti ekavachanam has been formed by bhi plus nyas using the sutram achishna dhatu bhruam yavor yang vango, which we have studied. Because since bhi is the dhatu, when you take bhi plus nyas anubandhalope as, that ikara of bhi takes the yanga adesha by achishna dhatu bhruam yavor yang vango. So bhyaha is shashti ekvachanam of bhi. But what Bhattoji says is that there is an additional ikara in there which is commingled. It's included in that bhi. So that pratipadikam bhi is really bhi plus e, and we have a akasama dirgha going on in there. So why do we need to make this kind of a extra kind of addition of an ikara in there? Why do we need the pratipadikam to be bhi plus e? Well, we'll see shortly why that is required. Because this looks like a bit of a trick, doesn't it? You make the pratipadikam bhi plus e equals to bhi. So include a long ikara in that bhi. Why is that? Look at the vritti. Ikarantasya bhyaha shuksya nyau hetu bhaye. So only if you have an ikaranta bhi, that will take the shuk agamaha when the pratyaya ni follows in the sense of hetu bhaye. So hetoho bhayam chet. Now the dhatu bhi already ends in the ikara. So what does it mean to say that the bhi ending in e? Because as we just saw that by this sutram vibheter hetu bhaye 6156, it's going to take atvam vasyat. So atva bhava pakshe, when the atvam does not take place, at that time the dhatu, of course we all talking, this is all in the context of pratyaya ni falling, okay? So we are all these, today's class and these three rules is all in the causative only. So let's not confuse that fundamental thing. We are not starting with shuddha dhatu bhi. We are talking about bhi in the causative, okay? So let's remember that. Now, so by 6156 you'll get the akar adesha optionally. So in the case when you don't get the akar adesha, then the bhi will remain ending in bhi, and that time only it will take the shuk agamaha. So vritti say the verbal root bhi nibhi bhaye, when it ends in a ikaraha, takes the shuk agamaha when the ni pratyaya follows and the hetu directly the cause of the fear. So These three rules are hetu bhaye, hetu bhaye, hetu bhaye. When the cause of the fear is the hetu himself, itself, herself, whatever it might be. And the first rule 6156 said that we'll get the akar adesha optionally. The second rule 1368 says that no matter whether you get the akar adesha or don't get the akar adesha, you have to use atmane padam in the case of hetu bhaye, not only with bhi, also with the dhatu smi. Of course, in dhatu smi, the meaning of the dhatu is not to cause fear, but to cause wonder. So even though hetu bhaye is used in the case of smi, it will mean wonder or astonishment, or to stun somebody, but not fear. And then this 7340 comes and says, in that case, when the akar adesha is not done, when bhi remains ending in ikaraha, at that time we'll take the shuk agamaha. Shuk agamaha. Let's look at the examples now. That'll make it clear what we're talking about. So bibhyatam prerayati. Look at, first of all, let me remind you one more thing. Bibhyat is one who's feeling afraid. Bibhyat. Now this is shatranta pratipadikam. Normally you should have got the num agamaha, isn't it? Because ubidacham sarvanama sthane dhatoho. So you have bibhyat plus right now. That has the sarvanama sthana sanya surnapumsakasya. Ubidacham sarvanama sthane dhatoho. So by 7170, why did the form not become bibhyantam? Why did num agama was stopped by something? Nugam, of course, this is not today's topic, but I just want to refresh your memory. Is that Budacham Sarvanama Sthane Dhatoho? There's no num agama in the form bibhyatam because of nabhyasta chatuhu. 7178. So bibhyatam is the dvitiya ekvachanam pullinge or the pradipadikam bibhyat. If you had a pradipadikam like pachat or gachat or pathat, you become, or like bhavat, you become bhavantam, pachantam, pathantam, like that. But in this case, it became bibhyatam. There was no num agamaha because of the sutram 7178, nabhyastachatuho. Nabhyastachatuho. So if you want to practice, you can go on the website and look for some examples. 7178 is a sutram. But anyway, that's not today's topic, but I just want to kind of remind you of that. So, bibhyatam prerayati bhapayate bhishayate. So, if it's hetu bhaye, if somebody is making somebody else afraid, not through an agency, not through an instrument, but by himself, then you get these two forms, bhapayate and bhishayate. Okay, notice a couple of things here. First of all, you had the akar adesha optionally. So, you have one pakshe atvam, pakshe atva bhavaha, no atvam. In both cases, you have atmane padam only. That is by 1368. Bhismayor hetu bhaye. That 1368, that entire section, by this time, that entire should be quite familiar to you. Because we have looked at 1366, remember that? Bhujo navane, we looked at, remember that? We looked at 1372, 74. So, we looked at 1361. So we have 1361, Mriyate Lunglingoscha. We have looked at 1366, Bhujo Navane. Now comes Bhismayor Hetu Bhaye. We also, of course, we have 1372 all the time. We have 1374. We have 1378. So now I hope you're feeling some confidence about this section. And gradually, you get more and more sections that you're familiar with in your Ashtadhyayi. And then once, it's like driving a new car, Once you know some of the, instruments in there, some of the things, how they work, then you can get more and more comfortable with that new car. So it's Ashtadhyayi like a new car that you have. This is one department that we are getting more and more familiarity with this department. Anyway, coming back to this example, in both cases, when we have Attam, Atva, Attamna, you still get Atmane Padam because 1368 says that Bhismayor Hetu Bhaye. did not mention anything about there being attam or not. Regardless if attam is there or not, whether you get the akara adesha or not, you can only use atmanepadam. Okay, and when the akara adesha doesn't come, you get this dhatu bhi gets a shuk agamaha, a bhyo hetu bhaye shuk. So now you understand why Bhattoji says bhi e iti ikaraha prashlishyate. So in the Sutram 7340 will only apply in the case where the akara adesha is not done pakshe. Okay, so that's why we need to make this Prajipadikam here bhi plus e equal to bhi. So in order to make sure 7340 does not apply in the form bhapayate, it only applies in the form bhishayate only. On the steps, we can go through the steps. So atto pakshe. Pakshe means because 6156 was optional, we get two forms. We do the atvam, bhi plus nich. These first steps are all common steps. Hetumaticha, anubandha lopaha, halantyam chututasya lopaha, and then comes the Sutram 6156, which is right here. Vibheter hetu bhaye, vibheter hetu bhaye. I think after this class we remember one thing, this term hetu bhaye. Remember this term hetu bhaye. There's something peculiar about this dhatu. When somebody causes fear, hetu bhaye. And if you remember, it's because you cannot remember all the details going forward. If you just remember the term hetu bhaye, you can look up in the Ashtadhyayi, just search for hetu bhaye, and you'll find these three rules, hetu bhaye, hetu bhaye, hetu bhaye. You'll find something special about that. So 6156, bhiveter hetu bhaye, and then we can here, of course, now because we have an akaranta dhatu, we get the puk agamaha by 7336, arti ri, which we saw last time. So arti ri, ri, ktu, yi, kshmai, yatam, puk, atam. When you have like sthapayati, we saw gapayati, dapayati. Similarly, become in this case, of course, you have to use atmanepadam. It's going to become bhapayate. So because this now is an adanta dhatu, so therefore the puk agama comes by 7336. Arti ri, ri, knu, yi, kshmai, yatam, puknau. So it becomes like that. So we get the new dhatu bhapi when the puk agama comes by 7336. Of course, adyantau takitau anubandha lopaha bhapi. The bhapi takes the lat pratyaha, vartaman and lat, and the steps are all the same, so I didn't put the steps again. So same steps that you have for chori becomes chorayate. The same steps for bhapi becomes bhapayate. Only thing here is that we'll have only one form bhapayate. You will not have bhapayati because of 1368 bhismayor hetu bhaye. I also hope that by this time you're getting some confidence to read these sutras on your own and make sense of them on your own, because in the next year or so, maximum 2 years, you should be at the position to, even when I was learning Ashtadhyayi at that time, when Tinganta Prakaranam was done, I felt enough that I could now, experiment on my own. I could now experiment on my own and find out. So I hope that by this time you're getting to the point where the sutras are no longer so, there's no hetu bhayam. The sutras don't cause fear to you. So, okay, and in the case where atva bhava pakshe, when atvam is not there, then we get, of course, same niche by hetumaticha, anubandha lopaha, chutu halantyam, tasya lopaha. In this case, there's no atvam, so the 6156, we didn't, this is only optional. So this case, in the atva bhava pakshe, we get the shuk agamaha. So this will get shuk agamaha by bhyo hetu bhaye shuk. And as usual, adyantau takitau, anubandha lopaha, we get the form bhishi. Get the form bhishi. This is the second form dhatu, and in this case the dhatu sanya by sanadyanta dhatavaha, we get the form bhishayate. So bhishayate. So this is how the two forms come. So one last time, these rules apply to dhatu bhi, and this one applies to dhatu smi also. And here it says that when this dhatu bhi takes nish pratyaya in the hetumati, and if it's hetu bhaye, if the hetu himself is the cause of the fear, it gets attam optionally. Then you have to use atmanepadam regardless of attam or not. And then when you don't get the akara deshaha, then it gets a shuk agamaha. So the example here is that jatilo bhishayate bhapayate. The ascetic with matted hair scares somebody himself. But dhurtaha kunjikaya bhayayati. So when none of these hetu bhaya is there, you're going to get the straightforward form bhayayati. So bhi plus nich, only acho niti, vriddhi, bhai plus e, and then echo yava yavaha, get the form bhayi. There's nothing special there. So, become bhai. Let me remind you that the sutram adech upadeshe shiti only applies when the dhatu is ajantaha upadeshe. So we take bhi plus nich, we do acho niti, get the form bhai. That is the ajanta dhatu. But in upadeshe it was only bhi. That I came only because vriddhi adesha by acho niti. So that will not become bha now. You understand that in the dhatu part, dhatu is only bhi. When the pratyaya nich came, we applied 72115 achod niti. We got the vriddhi adesha, became bhai. Now bhai is a ajanta dhatu, but it wasn't ajanta upadeshe. So it will become only echo yava yavaha, get the dhatu bhayi, become bhayayati. So bhai. This is a straightforward form, bhayayati. So the rogue scares someone by means of a broom. This is strange. This is an example which comes in the Kashika and in the Mahabhashyam. So it's a strange example actually. So someone scares somebody else by means of an instrument. This case apparently a broom or something is being used. It's kunchika. So the hetu is himself not the cause of the fear. So therefore these rules did not apply. None of these rules apply. There's all hetu bhaye, hetu bhaye, hetu bhaye. So when hetu bhaye is not there, you get the straightforward form bhayayati. And of course, Parsipadam can be used because we don't have, this 1368 doesn't apply. Now, this gives you some flavor. As I said, we cannot do all the rules in the class, but if you see a rule like this, with some other dhatu, actually I want to mention one more thing is that we just saw 6156, right? We can briefly look at 6157. It's not in the document. I don't want to spend too much time on this thing, but it says nityam smayatehe. Remember, we just saw hetu bhaye. The dhatu yibhi bhaye will take the akara adesha optionally. But nityam smayatehe. For this dhatu smi, it is nityam. So this is, I didn't put in this in a document, but just since it's just an extension of what we just did just now, that's what I'm saying. I mean, now we did enough rules in the class. If you can extend some of these on your own now. You can look at the, some rules close by to it. So we just studied 6156, but 6157 says that, which is not in the document, but it says that the, 6157 says that now so when the pratyani follows and hetu bhaya, in this case it cannot be bhayam because dhatu is smi, it means to cause astonishment. So nitya grahanat vibhasha nivrittam, it will be nityam now. You'll get the akara adesha necessarily. So it says that mundo vismapayate. Of course, when smi gets the akara adesha by sutram 7336, you get the puk agamaha. Ati puk agamaha. We get the form vismayate. Vismapayate. So there will be only one form. Mundo vismapayate. Jatilo vismapayate. But then kunchikaya enam vismapayati. So that is the thing which happens. So anyway, 6157 we didn't have the I didn't put in the document, but you can extend it. Let me just check one thing here quickly. The examples here. It is vismapayate. Vismayayati. Okay. There's a typo here. Okay. There's a typo. Should be vismayayati. They will not get the atvam. If it's an instrument being used to cause wonder or astonishment, you will not get the atvam. If atvam doesn't come, you won't get the puk agama. So this is a typo in this online kashika. So if it is not hetu bhaye, there will be no akara adesha. You'll only get smi will become smai. You get echo yavaha. You'll become vismayayati. Just like we had over here, the same thing. We had bhayayati. Same thing. We'll get vismayayati. So this is a typo here. So it will be mundo vismapayate, jatilo vismapayate. These are hetu bhaye. But kunjikaya vismayayati. Vismayayati. At that time, of course, Atmanepadam by 1368, which we just saw. So anyway, this is for the Dhatu Sme. Dhatu Sme. Okay. Now, that is just, so this I hope gives you some fair idea of some of the operations taking place, when the Nich Pratyaya is added, and we will see some more to the examples. I think we've seen enough. In fact, most of the sutra which we in the last class and this class so far are not in Lagu Siddhartha Kaumudi. They are not in Lagu Siddhartha Kaumudi. But I thought it'll give you some, we should do some justice to the topic, of this when the Nich Pratyaya comes in by 3125, 3126, what happens. So, number of these rules are not in Lagu Siddhartha Kaumudi, but we took them in the document here to give you some flavor. Okay, now let us look at last two rules here. These are also essential because even these two rules are not in the Lagu Siddhanta Kaumudi, but I think they're important because, we looked at the Sutram 1374, which I've been using happily all along, which is the Nichashta Sutram. Essentially, when the Dhatu ends in the Nich Pratyaya, the Nijanta Dhatu becomes Ubhayapadiya. And in all the examples so far, we have been using that. But there are a couple of special rules. Okay, there's special rules now. So we're going to dig down further and see that are there certain other conditions in which, a Dhatu may be forced to take Parasyapadam or Atmanepadam. And the two important rules here are this 1387, 88. One more time, look at this number 13. Should immediately know what the topic is. Because from 1312 starts Anudatta Gnita Atmanepadam. From there till the end of 13, it's only talk about Pada Vyavastha, means Atmanepadam, Parasyapadam, Vidhanam. And from 1378 is Sheshat Kartari Parasyapadam. So we look at the number 1387, it must be something most likely talking about a Parasyapada Vidhanam. So it's Parasyapadam, and surely it is. What does it say? Look at 1387. The one thing, as I mentioned, always, all the time, I know I mentioned all the time, is that don't lose track of the Ashtadhyayi. So here we have Anuvritti of Nehe coming down from here. So what this means is that Nigaranarthebhyaha Chalanarthebhyascha Dhatubhyaha Nyantebhyaha Parasyapadam Bhavati. These vrittis are such a delight, aren't they? They're so precise, so perfect, the way they are made. So please read them and understand them clearly. So Nigaranarthebhyash Chalanarthebhyascha Dhatubhyo Nyantebhyaha Parasyapadam Bhavati. So if a dhatu is nyantaha, ending in the pratyaya ni, in our case this is nich, and if it's in the sense of nigaranam, means to swallow, nigaranam means to swallow, means to consume something, to eat, or basically to eat or drink something. Nigaranarthebhyaha, then chalanarthebhyascha, also in the sense of movement. So that's why how you see the rule is important. This covers a big category. So any dhatu in the sense of consuming, eating, drinking, or in the sense of moving, chalanarthebhyaha, what happens is that dhatubhyo nyantebhya parasyapadam bhavati. So only parasyapadam can be used now. So it is a large set of dhatus, and you can imagine in the sense of moving. There are so many dhatus in the sense of moving, and quite a few. I mean, not that many sense of eating, drinking, but there are still quite a few. So in that entire set of dhatus, when you're using the causative, you have to use Parasyapadam only, you cannot use Atmanepadam. So that's why the rule is quite important. There's a Vartikam on this which says that, this dhatu, Adha Bhakshane, it does not follow this rule. So Adha Bhakshane, even though it's Bhakshane, it doesn't have to take Parasyapadam in the causative. But anyway, barring that, when used in the causative, a verbal root, which has the meaning sense of eating or swallowing, which means that is the Nigaranartha, or shaking, moving, which is the Chalanartha, takes the Parasyapada Pratyaya. So example is, let's say, Balakaha Odanam Ashnati. This is the Anyavastha. This is when this non-causative. The boy eats his food, eats rice. So Balakaha Odanam Ashnati. But then we get Mata Balakam Odanam Ashayati. Of course, ashayati is the nijjanta form. Now, here only ashayati can be used. You cannot say ashayate. So that is why, even though we have been using 1374 all the time, nichascha, we have to be a bit careful. That nichascha has some further details down there. I did not want to finish this topic without pointing out that there are some details down here. Again, in the class we cannot take all the details, but you should be aware that, you know, and if you want to remember one simple thing is that there are, of course, there's also, if you want to be safe with using a nijjanta prayogaha, parasya padam works in many more places than atmane padam. Because the rules for getting parasya padam only are covered a lot more dhatus. There are a couple of rules to take atmane padam only also, but those are for specific dhatus, not that many. So when in doubt, use parasya padam with a nijjanta dhatu, because I mean, most of the time you'll be right. Of course, there are some cases when you'll be wrong, because, you know, there's sutram. In fact, let me tell you right now, the sutram, this 1389 prevents parasya padam. So 1389, which is not in the document, 1389 is, I did not put in the document, let's look at it quickly, which is, it requires atmane padam only, 1389. So these are a specific set of dhatus. So purvena yoga dvayena kartavipraya kriya phalivivakshayam atmane padam apavadaha prapta. So these 1387, 88 are requiring parasya padam with dhatus in certain meanings, certain conditions. But this 1389 puts some counter exceptions now. That these dhatus, you know, that which are listed in 1389, they, you know, will not, they will take atmane padam, go to atmane padam, back to atmane padam. So 1389, which is not in the document, you should be aware of that. That's a set of dhatus, you know. So that those dhatus are given there. You know, it says no, pa is there, dami is there, ang, yam is there. So these sets of dhatus, you know. So they will pa dami, ang, yam, ang, yas, parimoha, ruchi, nriti, vada, vasa. Iti etebhya, nyentebhya, parasya padam na bhavati. So these dhatus, which is pa, dami, ayam, ayas, parimuha, ruchi, you know, and nriti, and vada and vasa, would have taken parasya padam. But the prior two rules, they would have come into something. It says that because look at the dhatu pa, for example, in the sense of nigaranam, in the sense of drinking. So she have taken only parasya padam, but this doesn't happen now. And some of these are going to come on a domain of 1388. Anyway, so 1389 is some counter exceptions of some dhatus which do not obey 1387, 88. So if you want to look upon your own, keep that one thing in mind. But I didn't put this in document because we don't want to go into too many details, but I want to mention 1389. It's a set of specific dhatus which would have come in the domain of 1387, 88, but they don't. Okay, so let's go back to 1387 again. What does it say? Nigarana chalanarthebhya. This is any dhatu, the sense of eating, drinking, or movement. Following that, if it's a nyantaha dhatu, in the causative sense, parasya padam has to be used. So nigaranarthebhya chalanarthebhyascha dhatubhyo nyantebhya parasya padam bhavati. So in the causative, the verbal root, sense of eating or swallowing or shaking or moving takes parasya pada pratyaha. And of course, as I mentioned to you, dhatu adabhakshane is not included in this rule, so that can take atmane padam also. So example I gave you, balakaha odanam ashnati, the boy eats rice, but mata balakam odanam ashayati. You have to use parasya padam only, ashayati, because it is nigaranarthe, the sense of consuming, eating. Then vrikshaha kampate, a tree shakes, but vayur vriksham kampayati. Now the wind makes the tree shake. So here you have to use Parasmapadam. So any dhatu, the sense of eating, drinking, or moving, when used in the causative, it takes only Parasmapadam. And one more rule, 1388, to close this topic is Anauva karmaka chittavat kartrika. Any new Pani Sutram, as I told you many times, keep on repeating it, and then the vritti after that. The meaning will come to you. Don't worry, the meaning will come to you. As I said, my teacher who passed away a few years ago, he passed away. Actually, I think not. Actually, passed away recently. My teacher passed away, but he used to wake up at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning and recite the Ashtadhyayi, because he said that once sutras go in your head. I remember him telling me all the time that keep on repeating the Ashtadhyayi. That is the shortest, most efficient way to learn grammar. Unfortunately, nowadays, it's exactly the opposite. That's the last thing people do, look at the sutram. That should be the first thing to do, look at the sutram. Not the last thing, but the first thing. So here we have a new sutram here. Anavakarma ka chittavat kartrakat. So anavakarma, anau akarmakat, that is padacheda, anau akarmakat chittavat kartrakat. So anavakarmaka chittavat kartrakat. So that's the one thing which my teacher always left me, is that keep on repeating the sutras, keep on repeating them till they go inside your brain. Anyanto yodhatur. And the next thing is the vritti after that. Also, this right behind is the vritti. If you don't understand the meaning of a sutram, look at the vritti. Look at the vritti. That kind of demystify the sutram for you, gives it a nice sentence form. Anyanto yo dhatu. A dhatu in its non-causative state. Akarmakaha, which is not a transient verb, intransient, it doesn't take an object. Chittavat kartrikascha, and whose the subject, the doer, is a sentient being, a living being. Then tasmat nyantat parasmapadam bhavati. So when in the causative, such a dhatu in the causative will only take parasmapadam. So one more time. Anyanto yo dhatu. A dhatu which is in its non-causative state. Anyantaha. Nyanta means ni antaha, nyantaha, and is a nishpratyaha. Anyantaha means no nyantaha, not causative. In the non-causative state, if a dhatu is intransient, doesn't take an object, and the doer of the action of the subject is a living being, a sentient being, then such a dhatu in the causative will take only parasmapadam. So when used in the causative, a verbal root which in its non-causal state is intransitive and has a sentient being for its agent, takes the parasmapada pratyaha. For example, Shri Krishna Shete, this is from the Siddhanta Kaumudi, Shri Krishna Shete. Shri Krishna Shete, so Lord Krishna sleeps. Then Gopi Shri Krishnam Shayati. Gopi Shri Krishnam Shayayati. So Shri Krishna, Balakrishna sleeps, and then a Gopi makes him sleep. Look at the conditions now. This is clearly sleeping is an intransient verb, takes no object. You cannot say sleeping to whom, So you have intransient verb. This is in a non-causative state. You have to check. Okay, this is an intransient verb. There is no object, and of course the karta is definitely it is the chitta. I guess sarva chitta kartru. He is the chittam of everybody anyway. So whatever. So he is definitely a chittavat karta. So he is a sentient being. So when such a dhatu goes in the causative now, it can only take parasmapadam. You can only say Gopi Shri Krishnam Shayayati, natu Shayayate. Kevalam parasmapadam bhavati. So one more time, if you have a dhatu in a non-causative state, it is intransitive, no object, and the doer is a sentient living being. Then when such a dhatu goes in the causative form, only parasmapadam. Show Gopi Shri Krishnam Shayayati only. On the other hand, you say Shushyanti Vrihayaha. Now this is the rice, the paddy, rice grains, they dry up, they become dry. Shush is to be dry. It comes in Gita. Let's today inaugurate Gita for today. Nashoshayati marutaha. So that we come in the Marutaha. So here comes Shoshayati Marutaha. So Shoshayati comes in the Gita. So so there it comes, Shoshayati Marutaha. Here it is. It comes in 220. So Shush is to be dry. So to dry up. So it says that so Shushyanti Vrihayaha. So this is a it is akarmaka. There's no, it's an intransient verb, but the rice grains are not living beings. The rice is not living beings. So this can take Atmanepadam. So Shoshayate Vrihinatapaha. The sunshine or the heat of the sun makes them dry, makes the rice dry. So in this case we did have akarmaka dhatuhu, but the karta was not chittavat karta. Vrihi means rice grains, is not chittavat. So this rule does not apply. Atmanepadam can be used. Shoshayate vrihin atapaha. The sunshine or the heat of the sun makes the rice dry. And also an example, Devadattaha katam karoti. Devadattaha makes a mat. Katam is a mat. He makes a mat. Now this is, Devadatta is a chittavat karta, but this dhatu kru is being used sakarmakaha. So even though Devadatta is chittavat karta, this rule will not apply, and we can say Pita Devadattam katam karayate. Atmanepadam can be used. So one more time is that anavakarmakat chittavat kartrikat. Padachara is akarmakat chittavat kartrikat. If you have a dhatu in a non-causative state, if it is intransient and the doer is a sentient being, then in the causative state it will only take Parasmapadam. So that ends this topic for us. I hope you had a good summary of it, that we can now, through the examples, we will give some more details. But I think we have enough exposure on this, Nyanta Prakaranam, when the Pratyaya Nich comes, what all things happen. Last two things I want to take is in Dhatu Patha. There are a couple of Gana Sutras, which are kind of important. The first one says is that Akusma Atmane Padinaha. So what this means, akusma, up to the dhatu kusma, only Atmanepadam can be used. This is a Gana Sutram in the dhatu patha. So the Churadi Gana, the dhatu patha, the Gana Sutram, the verbal roots beginning with chita sanchetane, so number 192 in the Churadi Gana, and ending with kusma, which is kutsita smayane, means to smirk at somebody. Kutsita smayane. To smile badly means to smirk at somebody. So from this 192 number, Chita Sanchetane, up to this Kusma Kutsita Smayane, which is number 230. So it's about only about 45 dhatus. They shall take only Apanipadam. So now if you go to Dhatu Patha here, look at the 10th Gana and Dhatu 192. 192 number is here in the Dhatu Patha. We can look at it here. See, this comes. So Akusmad Atmanepadinaha. So this is a Gana Sutram in the Dhatu Patha. So even though we have Nichascha 1374, which says that basically, these dhatus will take, Atmanepadam Purasyapadam, there might be some further details in the Dhatu Patha which will force. So here in this case, we have Atmanepadam being forced by these set of dhatus from 192, from Chitta Sanchetane up to this 236, Kusma Namnova, Kutsita, there's a typo here, Kutsita Smayane, they will only take Atmanepadam. So dhatu, for example, I have to give an example here in the document, dhatu Tarja Santarjane, to terrorize, to threaten somebody, to terrorize, tarja. So that dhatu is become only tarjayate. You can only one form tarjayate. So even though Nichascha was there, with specific Gana Sutram forced Atmanepadam, you can only get the form tarjayate, not tarjayati, tarja santarjane, tarjayate. So this is one like about set of 45 dhatus which take only Atmane Padam from this dhatu 192 number, Chitta Sanchetane, up to Akusmad, up to dhatu Kusma, Kutsitasmayane, which is number 236. Now one more Gana Sutram which says that Adrishadva. Now what this Gana Sutram says is that from this dhatu number 338 in the Churadi Ganaha, which is Yuja Sanyamane. By the way, these numbers might differ from Dhatupara or Dhatupara. There are some Partha Vedas, there are some different ways of grouping the dhatus. So this is the Dhatupara that we are referring to here. But so don't expect to be exact number and exact matching. But the bottom line is that from this dhatu Yuja Sanyamane, which is number 338, up to this Drisha Prahasane, it'll take only Nich Pratyaya only optionally. Even though we are Churadibhyo Nich 3125, these 50 dhatus, 51 dhatus, they will take Nich only optionally. So they will go back to taking only Shap without Nich, only Shap. So they will take Nich, they may not take Nich. Of course, when they don't take Nich, they take just Shap, Katri Shap, and that's it. That's all. So if you take an example, if you look at this number, and don't forget see this is a big Gana. This Dhatu Churadi Gana is about almost 500 dhatus. So we had it's a large Gana. So the number of dhatus here, and as we have already saw in the daily examples and also in the class, that the last 100 dhatus in this Gana are Adantaha. So from Katha onwards, from 389 onwards are Athadantaha. So Kathadayaha, Adantaha Dhatavaha. From Dhatu Katha, Vakya Prabandhane, they are all ending in the Akaraha. So last 100 dhatus end in Akaraha. And the prior 50 dhatus. So starting from 150 from the end of the Gana. So the last 100 are ending in Akaraha, and the prior 50 they are this Adrishiyaha. Adrishiyaha means, so you might hear this, you might encounter this term in sometimes the Bhashyam or in the commentary, Adrishiyaha. This is a Tadita from Adrish. Adrishiyaha means a dhatu which belongs to this set of 50 dhatus, which takes a Nich Pratyaya only optionally. It's Churadi Gana, but takes Nich only optionally. So these so the last 100, and then so those are Adantaha. So there's a separate Gana which you already saw. So Kathadayaha. So when you leave those 100, then the prior 50 are also a special situation. So from this number 338, Adrishadva, so Nichva Bhavati, Va. Adrishadva take from 338 so to 388 I think it is, up to the Dhatu Drisha Prahasane, that takes Nich optionally, and after that start Kathadayaha, they are the Adanta Dhatavaha. So is a set of 51 dhatus which behave, which are in the Churadi Ganaha, but they take Nich only optionally. So here we have an example like Dhatu Marg, Anveshan, to search, Marg. So you'll get Margayati or Margati, because you can become Margati, because when you don't bring Nich, it becomes Margati. So only Nich Vabhavati. So you get Margayati, Nich Pakshe, the Nijabhava Pakshe, Margati. So you have to be ready for, so of the Churadi Gana, roughly 500 dhatus, about 10% of them take Nich only optionally. Which is from number 338 to 338 to 388, and after that start the Kathadayaha. The last 100 dhatus, they are ending in Akaraha. Okay, so that ends the Nijanda Prakaranam. Today we're going to start a new topic, which is the Lakaras in which the Shap and its Apavadas will not be coming. Remember, Karti Shap was introduced by us. Now that we covered 4 Lakaras with that, Lat, Lot, Lang, Vidiling. We took those 4 together because the Angam will be Samanyam. When you consider Dhatu Bhu, the Angam becomes Bhava. No matter whether Lat is there, Lot is there, Lang is there, Vidiling is there, it will become Bhavati, Bhavatu, abhavat or bhavet, angam will be bhava, 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 bhava. But because you get the shap pratyaya kartari shap, nothing overrules or stops the shap. Nothing overrules or stops the shap. But now what's going to happen is that we are not going to be getting the vikaranaha shap because it will be stopped by something, or there will be apavada for it. So this in English what they call the non-conjugational tenses and modes, because the conjugation means the ganas. So conjugational tenses and modes means that those are specific to the gana. So depending on the gana vikaranaha will come, the shap or shan or shna or sha, whatever it might be. But now the next 6 lakaras which you're going to look at, which are 10 lakaras, we have lat, which you already studied, we have lit, lut and rit. Those are 2 future tenses we have not studied yet. So that then we have lot, then we have lung, which already we have studied. Then we have the ling, we have the vidhiling, ashiling. Vidhiling we have studied, ashiling we have not. Then we have the lung and the lung. So the remaining 6 lakaras, which is the lit, lut, rit, the ashiling, the lung and the lung, the shap or sapavadas, meaning the gana vikarana will not be coming, which is good news in a way, because now we don't have to ask in which gana this dhatu is anymore. We don't have to ask, because the gana specific sign will not be there anymore, because it will either be stopped by something or there'll be an apavada for that. So no matter which gana dhatu belongs, so that's why we can now take these 6 lakaras in order, with the good news that we can now forget about shap and the shan and the shnu and all those things, because they will not be coming here. So today is really a new start of a new topic. Now we still think of the prakaranam only, talk about verbal forms, but these are verbal forms in which the gana vikaranaha will not be coming. So, and we will see the reason why it doesn't come. As I said, it will be prohibited. It's because you must kartari shab sarvadhatuke. So if a pratyaya is kartari, but it is not sarvadhatuka pratyaya, shab cannot come. Shab cannot come. So that is the reason why shab may be stopped, or shab may be overruled by some other pratyaya, like a pratyaya like bhavishyati. Pratyaya is sya. That sya overrules the shab. So bottom line is that the next 6 lakaras. So that's why we broke the traditional order, is taking lakaras in order. From when I learned Vyakaranam, we went lat, lit, lut, lut, lot, lung, vidhiling, ashiling, lung, rung. But in this class, we have taken the lat, lot, lung, vidhiling together first, because the angam was samanyam, samanakaryam, angakaryam samanam. So we didn't want to, so we could cover those 4 lakaras, together. But now we'll be taking individually, lakaras one by one. Now one of the most important ones is this lakara called lit. Why is it the most important? Because it is the remote past tense, roughly speaking, remote past. Once upon a time, something happened. Now, so that all the narratives, itihasa purana, purana kathaha, teshu prachuryena vartate lit prayogaha. You'll find lit being used everywhere. I mean, Bhagavad Gita itself, the very first thing is you say Dhritarashtra Uvacha. Uvacha is a lit prayogaha. So because it is a narrative of the old times. This is a very important lakaraha. So today we'll start the lakaraha and we will see how far we can go. So this is a past tense. We already seen there are 3 past tenses in this language. One is 3 to 100, which is the 110. I'm sorry, which is the default pratyaya lung. But strangely enough, this also teaches a lesson that because something is default doesn't become the most common. One more time, the fact that something is put by Panini as a default doesn't mean it's the most common. It may be the default, but it has the apavadas are so important that they take away from the default more than what they leave behind. So in this case, even the lung is the, samanya in the bhutakale, but because anadyatane lung and parokshe lit are used much more often than the lunga. So even the lung is the default past tense, because again, don't forget please, when adhikara of bhute starts from 3 to 84, these three adhikaras, bhute, vartamane and bhavishyati, they are coming in the order of time. Kalanukramena, which is bhute starts from 3 to 84 up to vartamane lat. Vartamane starts from 3 to 123, and then goes the bhavishyati is 333. Never forget these adhikaras, 333. So right now with the bhute adhikara, the default past tense was lung, because there's no condition on that. But now we saw anadyatane lung, which we have been using. If the action is not of the recent past, not today's past, then you have to use lung. So any action which is not includes today's past, it became lung. So now you see why, most of the territory of the bhute was taken away by the lung. And within the anadyatane, if it is parokshe, means that it has not been experienced, it is beyond the senses. This aksha is in this, you can say indriya. It is beyond, it's paraha. It is beyond the senses of the speaker. It means not only his eyes, but he has not experienced the action directly himself. So if there is an action taking place in the past, which is not of today, and which the speaker has not directly experienced, then only lit should be used. So one more time, lung is the default past tense, no conditions. But if there is any, if the action does not have a component of today's past, last 24 hours roughly speaking, then lung has to be used, anadyatane. So the action is exclusively non-today, not last 24 hours past, then lung has to be used. And within that territory of lung, anadyatane, not of today, if it's parokshe, then lit has to be used. So sutam is parokshe lit. Parokshe lit. Bhutanadyatana parokshartha vritter dhator lit syat. Bhutanadyatana parokshartha vritter dhator lit syat. So bhutanadyatana means that it's a past tense, not of today. We had that for the lung also, same thing. When we used lung, we had anadyatane lung. But now one more condition, parokshartha vritte here, which means that it is beyond the senses, beyond the cognition of the speaker. The speaker did not experience the action. Lit syat, so lit has to be. So this is called a perfect tense. Perfect, I think, because in the English names I'm not too good at this, but English, I think what perfect means is that the action was taken place way in the past. If the action is already complete, it's perfect. I think that's what perfect means. The action is perfect past, means it has been already complete action in the past. It's not like, once upon a time. So this is perfect. I think that's what, anyway, it's called perfect in English. So, but just always use the lit, always use the Paninian terms. Obviously, you say simple future, second future, and this and that. Just say lit, say lung, say lot, say vidiling. So that way there's no confusion. So lit is the tense which comes after a verbal root in the sense of past, not of today, provided the action is unperceived by the narrator. Okay, we'll take an example from dhatu bhu sattayam. So bhu sattayam. Again, the good news here is that, anyway, let's see. The good news here is that there's going to be no gana vikaranaha. So we can take all dhatus together now, all of them. We don't have to worry about this gana, that gana, and this and that. Okay. Now, why is no gana vikaranaha? Let's look at that. Let's look at the example. Babhuva. Today we'll try the form babhuva. So tushnim babhuvaha comes in Gita. Yes, comes in Gita. I think Arjuna became quiet. He became quiet. Tushnim tamuvach rishi. Yes, it comes. So when Arjuna says, I'm not going to fight anymore, he became quiet. So he says that e muktva rishi kesham gudakesha parantapa na yotsya, I will not fight. Na yotsya. Iti govinda muktva tushnim babhuvaha. So Arjuna became quiet. He said, I'm not going to fight, and then he became quiet. So he became. So this is a narrative of the past, not of today, and the speaker has not experienced the action. So tushnim babhuvaha comes in Gita, shloka number 2. Chapter 2, number 9. So when you recite the shloka, think of parokshe lit. Parokshe lit. Okay, the first 3 steps are the same, no difference. Any lakara that you have. So dhatu lakara. Anubandha lopaha tiptajji. So these 3 steps are always, samanya karyani. Tatra bheda nasti. Lakarishu bheda nasti. So, when you take, no matter which lakara you're taking, you take whatever the dhatu, in this case bhu, then lakara. You have to have the lakara vidhayaka sutram. In this case parokshe lit, past tense, not of today, which is beyond the perception beyond the cognition of the speaker. And then anubandha lopaha, by upadesha jananasika et halantyam tasya lopaha, then tiptajji, because the vivaksha is pratham purusha ekavachanam, it's a parasmapadi dhatu, because dhatu bhu has no it letters. It is devoid of any atmanipada lakshana, so there's no lakshana for bringing atmanipadam, lakshanam for bringing atmanipadam, there's no lakshanam for atmanipadam, so it doesn't have anything to bring atmanipadam. So by default, sheshat kartari parasyapadam. Again, right now we're only talking about the kartari only, okay? We're not only talking kartari. Let me remind you of that. We're only talking kartari right now. So, sheshat karti parasyapadam, tiptajji, the vivaksha is pratham purusha ekavachanam, we get the pratyatip. So these 3 are just the same. Whether lakara was lat or lot or lung or vidiling or lit, doesn't matter. We have bhu plus tip. Now comes the special sutram, which, look at the number please. You should have a very good idea what this sutram says, because we already have studied 34113 and 34114. Because ting shit sarvadhatukam, ardhadhatukam sheshaha. You must have heard it 1,000 times, I hope already. I have heard it like 10,000 times more. Is ting shit sarvadhatukam, ardhadhatukam sheshaha. But the next sutram says litcha. Is that any lidda, even the tibbadayaha, the tiptajji, those 18 pratyas, from 3, 4, 78, normally ting shit sarvadhatukam. But if they come in place of lit, the same tiptajji, etc., they will now get the sanya of ardhadhatukam. Let's look at the vritti. Now you know why shap is being stopped, because this tip pratyaya which just came in place of lit, which would have normally been ting shit sarvadhatukam, it is now sanya of ardhadhatukam. And as you know, the kartari shap had anuvritti of sarvadhatuke, becomes 3167. So that is why we don't get shap or its apavadas in lit lakaraha. So the sutram litcha says 3415115. It comes right after ardhatukam sheshaha. So lidadeshaha. So litadeshaha. Ting. Ardhatuka sanyaha. Very simple sutram. Very, very simple sutram. This is the Panineha Mahatmyam. He makes Vyakaranam, so optimized for our understanding. So lidadeshaha. Ting. So ting means, of course, from that sutram, it's a pratyahara from 3478. He says tiptajji, septastha, and so on, up to vahi mahing. That's a ting pratyahara. So it has 18 ashtadasha pratyaha. So ashtadasha pratyaha, there's 18 pratyas. So when one of these 18 is referred to by this pratyahara ting, which is a litta, it becomes ardhadhatuka sanyaha. So it gets sanya of ardhadhatukam, not sarvadhatukam. It's sanya of only ardhadhatukam. So one more time, the tiptajji, which are normally get sanya of sarvadhatukam by 34113, if they come in place of lit, then they will get the sanya of, they get a sanya of they get sanya of ardhadhatukam. So litta-adeshaha tiptajji, litta-adeshaha ting, in short, will get the sanya of ardhadhatukam, not sarvadhatukam. Okay, so in English, a ting pratyaya, which comes in place of lit, gets the ardhadhatuka sanya. So now we understand that because kartari shap anuvritti of sarvadhatuke was there, kartari shab cannot come in lit lakaraha, because the tiptaji which comes in place of lit gets sanya of ardhadhatukam and not sarvadhatukam. Okay, so we have bhu plus tip, no shap. Or apavadas also. If dhatu was belong to divadiganaha, there will be no shan, but they have the same conditions. They are all kartri sarvadhatuke. This entire section here, this entire section is kartri sarvadhatuke, which is from 3-1, not only shap, but all sapavadas also. They are all kartri sarvadhatuke. So this divadibhya shan and this swadibhya shnu, all of them. So gana vikarana will not come. Okay, now what do we have? We have bhu plus tip, and shap is not going to come. Now what happens that in parasya padam, this tiptas ji, siptastha, mip, vas, mas, they get sarvadeshaha. They get completely substituted out by these 18 other pratyas. So parasya padanam, nalatus, so this is pratyas. Nal atus us, nal atus us, not nal sir. Nal atus us, thal atus nal vamaha. One more time. Parasya padanam, nal atus us, thal atus nal vamaha. Parasya padanam, nal atus us, thal atus nal vamaha. So litaha, look at the number 3482. I've mentioned to you many times, is that the 3478 tiptasji is only the default rule. Do not leave the section of 3.4 until you examine the remaining rules in 3.4 lakara sambandhi karyam, to see that the tiptasji might change. We have seen many rules there so far. We've seen many of them. For example, we saw nitya. We have seen, for example, serya pitcha. So all these rules which we have seen, Titta, of course, our famous rule 3479 itself, the Titta Atmane Padanam Tere, we have seen. Loto Langvat, Eruhu, Serya Pitcha, Mednihi, Ametaha, Savabhyam Vamo, Aruttamasya Pitcha, Etai, all these rules, Nityam Nitaha, Itascha Sutram, Itascha. So all these rules we have, of course, and all these down here. Yasut Prasipadeshu Dato Gnitcha, Jasyaran, Itot. So Jerjus. So similarly now we have the rule 3482, which is saying Prasya Padanam Nalatususthalatusa Nalvamaha, which means that refers to these pratyas tiptasji, siptastha, mip, vas, mas. These 9. That they get sanya Prasya Padam because of left Prasya Padam Tangana Vatmane Padam. I will remind you of these. Left Parasya Padam, Tangana Vatmani Padam. So any La Adesha is Parasya Padam by default, unless it is the Tang Pratyahara or the Ana Pratyas. So these first 9 get the Sanya of Parasya Padam in 3/4, which of course we all know by now, the Tiptas, Ji, Siptastha, Mip, Vas, Mas. Etesham Navanam Pratyahanam Parasya Pada Sanya Vartate. So they will get substituted by these 9, which is Nal, Atus, Us, Thal, Atus, Nal, Va, and Ma. With Sarvadeshaha. Complete substitute. One thing I will point to at this time is that because this is Parokshe lit, the action is not experienced by the speaker most of the time. There's one very good news here, is that I would say more than at least 95% of lit, at least, maybe even more than that, I'm going to say like more than 98-99%, is third person, Pratham Purushaha. Because if it's once upon a time, it is unlikely that I was there once upon a time, So it is very unlikely that I was there and I didn't experience the action. So Pratham Purusha, so Muttu Purusha is very unlikely. Even though in Gita we have one. I know, in Gita we have one Prayoga. In Gita we have one place in Gita where we have Uttam Purushaha in lit. Okay, let's leave that for time being. In fact, Anushush comes in Gita chapter 1. For another not mentioned, let me tell you which one it is. This in Gita, in the first chapter of Gita, we have this Anushruma. There's Ahobata Mahat Papam Kartum Yavasita Vayam. So Anushruma, this is a Uttam Purusha Lord. In fact, some of the commentators have, I think Gita Press in one place says that Arjuna forgot his Vyakaranam class. It is Shoka Kulaha, Chinta Kulaha San. So Arjuna forgot his Vyakaranam because he should not be using lot like this in Uttam Purusha. Anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is that the good news is that for lit lakaraha, at least 95-97% is going to be third person only Pratham Purusha. It's parokshe. So to think that I was there, it is action involving myself, and I didn't experience the action is very rare. Even though in Gita we have one with Arjuna Vacha, and it is there, we have to deal with it. But and some commentators have made a joke that Arjuna forgot his Vyakaranam class because of the war. But anyway, for us, 1997, it is the only one in Gita, by the way, only one place in Gita where the lit is not Pratham Purusha. This is the Anushruma. So now the good news is that we only have to worry about these three pratyaya. Even in the class now, even though for this dhatu bhu, we'll go through all 9 forms. But from now on, for the future classes, we'll look at only one dhatu, Atmanipadam will do all 9 forms. But from then on, we'll only look at Pratham Purusha. It's really not worth our time and effort looking at the other 6, because literally almost 99%. You are going to get only third person. And if it's not third person, in the 1%, you will probably recognize the form because you know the pratyas at the end. It will not, even then it is not hard to recognize the form. So only focus on these 3. Nal, atus, us. Because this is the Pratham Purusha. Tip, tas, ji becomes nal, atus, us. Don't worry about the remaining 6. The thal, atus, nal, va, ma. Because of course the null repeats itself. The null comes in 2 places, in the Pratham Purusha Ekvachanam, Uttam Purusha Ekvachanam. But so one more time, because parokshe lit, if it cannot be second person either, so it cannot be you and you were once upon a time and you're talking to me now. Let me say, there was a king named Dasharatha. Dasharatha nama Raja Babhuva. Now he was way in the past, so it's unlikely now the second person is going to be used with him now, with you. Like you were there once upon a time. So first person is almost never used Gita in one place. Second person is also very unlikely. In Gita, 0. Only third person. So we'll focus on third person. For the dhatu bhu, we'll go through online. But right now, let's focus on this nal, atus, us. So tip, tas, and ji respectively become nal, atus, us. So what do you have? We have bhu plus tip. Now the question comes, the pratyaya null, which are the it letters? Of course, the lakara by halantyam. Tasya lopaha. What about nakara? Nakara is by chutu. By chutu, nakara should take the it sanya. But the chutu is only if it's a pratyaya. Remember that, the chutu sutram, that has anuvritti of pratyayasya. So if you look at sutram chutu, anuvritti comes pratyayasya. So this nakara of null, which is the tavarga panchamaha, it cannot get the it sanya unless and until null is a pratyaya. I think you may recall the situation that we had. Let's go through the explanation here. So the lakara at the end of null gets the it sanya immediately by halantyam and removed by tasya lopaha. But the nakara at the beginning of null does not get its sanya until null gets the pratyaya sanya. So pratyaya sanya only will come after the replacement. But adesha avasthayam, when it's only a substitute, at that time it doesn't have pratyaya sanya. So the nakara of null does not get the its sanya until after substitution takes place. Why is this important? Because of the sutram alontyasya anekachis sarvasya. as I said to you many times, is that if any time you have an adesha, a substitution, always think of Sutra Chatushtayam. Always think of the Sutra Chatushtayam. Sutra Chatushtayam, which is the Alontyasya Nitya Adef Parasya Anekalcha Sarvasya. That is the Sutra Chatushtayam. Sutra Chatushtayam, which tells you where to put the Adesha. So normally Alontyasya. So if that would happen, then in a tip, only the ending ikara would get replaced. But we want sarvasya. Atta sarvasya ishyate. Then how do we justify the sarva adesha? That's the point right now. If you remove both the it letters of null, you only have the akara remaining. It is not anekal. You have to go with alontyasya, which will be a problem. Anishtam rupam syat. But the logic here is that nakara of null does not get the id sanya until the substitution actually takes place. So while we are deciding in the adesha avasthaya, when it is just a substitute right now, not a pratyaya as yet, we are trying to decide whether to go with anekasya sarvasya or alontyasya. At that point, it has not yet substituted. It is coming in as a substitute only as yet. So at that position, the nakara cannot take its sanya as yet, because the Chutu Sutram 137 anuvritti of pratyasya is coming in that. So the pratyadi tavarga chavarga takes the its sanya, not any chavarga adi adi chavarga adi tavarga. So Chutu 137. If you look, we can look at 137 quickly. Let me see if I find it. That Sutram Chutu is only applies for pratyadi, not otherwise Chutu. Let me see, maybe I can search for Chutu. So Chutu, sorry, Chutu. Okay. So pratyadau Chutu itau staha. Only pratyayadi. So right now, while null is only an adesha, not a pratyaya as yet. It will become pratyaya after substitution takes place by sthanivat adesha on vidhau. But prior to substitution, it is only a adesha. At that time, the nakara is not an it. So the adesha actually is na, not akaraha. It's anekal, because na means nakara akaraha. So we have to use anekachi sarvasya, and the entire tip pratyaya goes away. So one more time, the lakara at the end of null gets its sanya by halantam tasya lopaha. The nakara at the beginning does not get its sanya until null actually replaces tip. Only after the replacement, null gets the pratyaya sanya by sthanivat adesha vidhau, and then Chutu can apply to get the sanya. But as long as just the adesha, this nakara will not get any sanya. It's an anekal adesha, nakara akaraha. It anekachi sarvasya, we get the bhu plus a. So first bhu plus tip becomes bhu plus na. By pranasya padanam nalatus sus etc. Anekachi sarvasya, because the adesha is nakara akaraha, it is has more than one letter. And then once it comes as adesha as in place of tip, then by sthanivat bhava, by 1156 sthanivat adesha vidhau, you get pratyaya sanya. Now we can do Chutu, and we can do tasya lopaha. So first adesha comes na, then becomes anubandha lopa a by 137, 139. So in short, anekachi sarvasya is used here, because the nakara does not have its sanya until it becomes a pratyaya. Now the same situation, you may recall, we had one time before. In 7.1 we have, when we did the sutram, just so she. Same thing with she, because she in the adesha avasthayam, lashakvata dite 138, the same situation there we had. Because until the she was not a pratyaya, the talave shakara would not get the its sanya. So because anekala adesha replace the entire jas and shas. If you remember that, the same thing here. The same thing we had in 7.120. At that time, the talave shakara was lashakvata dite 138. It only applies after it becomes a pratyaya. So that time also we use the same logic to make she aneka adesha and make anekachi sarvasya to replace the entire jas and shas. Okay, so now what happened? Now we have bhu plus a. Now we get a special sutram, which is bhuvo vug lung litoho. Look at the number. 6 is, it is in the angasya adhikaraha. It's also an adhikara of asiddhavadatrabhat, asiddhavadatrabhat. What does Sutram say? It's specific for the dhatu bhu. So far we had everything common rule. Now we specific rule for dhatu bhu. You know these dhatu which are the most common dhatus, which get used the most. They have the most exceptions, like dhatu dukrim karane. So same thing here. Bhuvo vug lung ritoho says that. I look at the sutram. It is 6488, 6488, 6488. Bhuvo vug lung litoho, bhuvo vug lung litoho, which says that anuvritti. So it says bhuvo vug agamaha syat lung litor achi. Anuvritti of achi is coming down. Probably from 6477. Achishtu dhatu bhruvam. So I would think achi is probably coming down from there. So that this suttam says that this dhatu bhu takes the vuk agamaha. Vuk is an agamaha. It's a kit. It's an agamaha. If followed by an ajadi pratyaya of lung or lit. Lung or lit. Right now we don't have lung. Looking at the lit lakaraha. So this is one situation we saw many times. Is that is in a sutram we may not need to use everything right now. Take what we need right now. So anuvritti of achi is coming down there. So bhuvaha. Bhuvo vuk agamasyat lung litor achi. So bhu takes the augment vuk when a ajadi pratyaya, vowel beginning affix of lung or lit. What do we have right now? We have anubandha lope a. Because once null became an ade, a pratyaya, a sthanivad adesh anal vidhav, then we got the by 1156 got the pratyaya sanya, by chutu then nakara got the it sanya, tasya lopaha, anubandha lope akaraha, it's ajadi pratyaya of lit. So now this dhatu bhu is going to take the vuk agamaha. One more time, this bhuvo vuk agamaha syat lung litor achi. Straightforward sutram, this dhatu bhu takes the vuk agamaha followed by ajadi pratyaya of lung or lit. So now we have bhu plus we want to the vuk agamaha. But there's one more question that needs to be answered here. The pratyaya is null. How about achor niti? Why not that one is coming right now? Why are we going? Because achor niti is 72115. But the bhuvo vuk lung litoho is 6488. Then why not achor niti? The answer is that is because achor niti is a parakaryam. Why not that? Remember this thing which we did many classes ago, I think a couple of years ago, in the beginning we started Ashtadhyayi. If you looked at this paribhasha, it says Purva para nityantarangapavadanam uttarottaram baliyaha. So parakaryam has importance, correct. Between Purva and para, the para has to be used. But more important is the nitya karyam. Beyond that, antarangam karyam. Beyond that, apavadaha. So uttarottaram baliyaha. So these are successively more and more important. They carry more and more weight. So if a purva karyam is there and para karyam, then correct, para will overrule. So right now we have achor niti 72115. We have bhuvo vuk lung litoho, we have 6488. So just by purva para, the para should have taken precedence, which is the 72115. But the nitya karyam has greater force than the para. So it's because nitya karyam means one which applies regardless of the other. One is dependent, one is independent. The independent one, which applies regardless of the other applying or not, is called nitya karyam. Let's take a look what we have right now. We have bhu plus a. If we do achor niti, we make it make it bhau. It is still dhatu bhu, because even though bhu becomes bhau, it is still the dhatu bhu itself. Because ekadesha vikritam ananyavat. Just because you change one part of something, just like the example they give, if you cut the tail of a dog, it's still a dog. So if you do vruddhi adesha, it's still the dhatu bhu. Okay, it got a new look, but the dhatu bhu is still there. So we can still do vuk agamaha. So vuk agamaha can be done regardless of whether 72115 applies or not, but not vice versa. If you do the vuk agama first, the angam becomes bhuva vakarantam. We cannot apply achor niti. Achor niti only apply when you have an ajantam angam. So 72115 cannot be applied once the Vuk Agama comes by 6488. But vice versa, if you apply 72115 first, still Vuk can be done. So that's that 6488, the Vuk Agamaha, Vuk Lung Litoho, is a Nitya Karyam. So that will prevail in spite of the fact that Achodniti is Parakaryam, because of Pura Para Nityantaranga Pavadana Uttarotram Baliyaha. So even though Para has more force than Purva, but Nitya has even a stronger force than that. So the last time we have a choice to apply Bhuvo Vuk Lung Litoho or Achodniti Vriddhyadesha, because Pratyaya is a Nit Pratyaya. Pratyaya is null. So Achodniti is a Parakaryam, 72115, but it is dependent on the Vuk coming or not. Once the Vuk Agama comes, Achodniti cannot be used. On the other hand, the Vuk will come regardless of whether Achodniti comes or not. It's a Nitya Karyam, it's an invariable rule. So it's a Nitya Karyam has greater force than Parakaryam. So we do the Vuk Agama first. Of course, Vuk means Adyantau Takitau, and then Anubandha Lopaha, we get Bhuva is what we have now. Now we do the Abhyasa Karyam. Liti Dhaturanabhyasasya. Liti Dhaturanabhyasasya. It's also interesting sutram. We already seen the sutram, which is the Shlau sutram. You know, remember that sutram Shlau which we did, which we have done previously, which when we had the Shlu illusion in the Jyotyadi Ganaha. So when the Shlu was done, then the Angam took Abhyasaha. Same thing here. The sutram is Liti Dhaturanabhyasasya. Liti Dhaturanabhyasasya. What does sutram say? It says that Liti Pare, when lit follows, Anabhyasa Dhatvaya Vayasyaikachaha, Prathamasya Dvestaha, Adi Bhuta Dachaha, Parasya tu Dvitiyasya. Now, what's happening over here? It's saying that when the lit pratyaya follows, there will be a duplication. Duplication of what? Duplication of the Prathama Ekacha Bhagaha. The anuvritti of these two rules comes in here, which is Ekacho Dve Prathamasya and Ajade Dvitiyasya. What this means is that when the duplication is done in this, now why do we not need these two rules when we did the Sutram Shlau? Even at that time we should refer to these two rules, because the Jyotyadi Ganaha, all the dhatus are only ekach, they have only one acha. So at that time we didn't need these complications at that time, because at that time we only using the only sutram using a shlau. The shlau only applies when we do in the dhatu Jyotyadi Ganaha, Jyotyadi Bhyashluho. And since all the dhatu in Jyotyadi Ganaha only ekach, we didn't complicate things at that time, even though these two rules, Ekacho Dve Prathamasya and Ajade Dvitiyasya, are coming in this entire section of this Abhyasa section in 6.1. But since in the case of Shlu, we had all simple cases, we didn't need to complicate things at that time. But now, we may have a Dhat which is Anekacha. So now we need to look at these two rules. What this says is that the Prathama Ekacha Bhagaha, okay, will take Abhyasaha. Now, before we get into this, one thing to understand is that only vowels take Abhyasaha. The consonants only go along with it. They take the consonants with it, but when a vowel takes Abhyasaha, it takes the consonant on either side with it until you hit the next vowel. So when a vowel takes Abhyasaha, only vowels take Abhyasa, but they take the consonants on either side with them. You take them with them. So this is like a tree. When it shakes, it takes, like when you shake the trunk of a tree, that's like the vowel of this dhatu. It takes the leaves with it. The leaves go with it. In the Mahabhashyam, interesting thing which Patanjali gives is that he gives like a stage where there are actors and actresses. The actors are the vowels, and the actresses belong to they go with the actors. So when an actor takes Abhyasaha, the actresses on either side go with him to take Abhyasaha. Of course, until the next actor comes. So if you have actress, and then an actor in between, then another actress, and actor. So any actor can take all the actresses on either side until the next vowel is hit, next actor. then he has to stop there, because then his adhikaras go beyond that. So only the vowel takes abhyasa, but it takes with it the consonants on either side all the way up to the end or till the next vowel is hit. So one more time, only vowels take abhyasa, but they take with them the consonants, of course, if any, on either side, until they can take them all until you hit the end of the dhatu or the next vowel. So that's what belongs to this vowel. He takes those consonants with him to take abhyasaha. So what this sutram is saying is that ekacha dve prathamasya, the prathama ekacha bhaga will take abhyasaha, unless you have an ajadi dhatu which is anekacha. In that case, the second vowel takes abhyasaha. So you look at the vritya, what this one is saying is that liti pare anabhyasa dhatvayavasya ekachaha. So the lit pratyaya follows the dhatu. The dhatu, the ekacha bhaga of the dhatu, the first ekacha bhaga will take abhyasa. Now, if dhatu has only one ach, right now we have simple example of dhatu bhu, only one ach, then of course that single ach is the only one which is there. Only that u will take abhyasa. In this case become bhuva. So bhuva we have. So u will take abhyasa. We'll take the bhakara and the vakara with it. So it's straightforward right now. If a dhatu is ekach, only one ach, there's nothing to think about. There's only one ach. That ach will take abhyasa. And of course there's no other ach, so all the consonants on either side will go with that ach. Now, take a dhatu like jagru. Let's take an example, I know time is running out, but take a dhatu like jagru. Now this dhatu has two vowels. So we take dhatu jagru example here. Jagru. It has akara, rukara. So when you do abhyasaha, the prathama ekacha bhaga, which is the akara, with the jakara and gakara will take abhyasa. So jag will take abhyasa. So the prathama ekacha bhaga, which is the akara is the prathama ach, and then it will take the jakara gakara with it. So jag, that's the portion will take abhyasaha. So if you have anekash dhatu also no problem, the first ach take abhyasaha, and you'll take the consonants on either side with it until you hit the end or the next ach. So in this case we have jakara, akara, gakara, rukara. If abhyasa is done, you'll take jag. So the akara will go, taking the jakara and gakara with it. Will take with it. So that will be the abhyasa. But if you have an anekash dhatu which is ajadi, and those are very, very few, with like a dhatu like urnu, the dhatu like urnu. Take one quick example and we will end the class. So dhatu urnu. Look at this dhatu urnu. It's ajadi dhatu anekach. Now the second ach takes abhyasa. So the second ach takes abhyasa only. The dhatu is anekach and ajadi, which is very rare. In the dhatu partha. If you have derived dhatus, then yes, you could have more situations. But in the dhatu partha itself, to find a dhatu which is anekach and ajadi, first of all, 95% of dhatus are whatever, some very large percent is going to be ekach only. So to find a dhatu which is ajadi anekach is very rare. But when you have derived dhatus, like a causative form, then yes, you could have a situation where the dhatu is maybe anekach and ajadi. Now in this case, dhatu urno, the ukara will take abhyasa. The last ukara will take abhyasa. He'll take the refa nakara with it. Ra, na, u will take abhyasa. And then comes the special sutram with the refa, doesn't take abhyasa. But anyway, this, if its dhatu is ajadi anekach, then the second, in this case, the ukara will take abhyasa, taking with it the consonants up to the, so the ra, na, u will take abhyasa, and that will be subject to abhyasa. There's a special rule which says that the refa won't take abhyasa, but that's different. So that is not, that's a further complication. But if a dhatu, so one more time, unless a dhatu is anekach ajadi, the first ach will take abhyasa. When the ach takes abhyasa, it takes the consonant either side with it. Either side means all the way till the end, or it hits the next ach. Now, most of the time, for the time being for us, you to look at only ekach dhatu, like a dhatu bhu. There's nothing to think about, that one single vowel will take abhyasa, take the consonant either side. So for today, we can keep it simple. We see some, later on we see other examples. So for today, we have that. So liti pare, lit follows the dhatu. Dhatva vayavasya ekachaha. So the ekacha bhaga of the dhatu, prathamasya. The first ekacha bhaga, dvestaha. But adi bhutad achaha parasya tu dvitiyasya. If you have a dhatu beginning with an ach, like a dhatu like urnus, an ekach, the second ach will take abhyasaha. So lit follows the verbal root. There's a reduplication of the first portion containing a single vowel of the verbal root, which is not already duplicated. Of course, it is to be anabhyasasya. That's obvious. Duplication only once, which is not already duplicated. But if the verbal root begins with a vowel, and it has more than one vowel, then the second vowel takes abhyasa. This one we can ignore for the time being. Okay, when we see this condition later on, we'll come to that. So for the time being, remember that the prathama ach takes abhyasaha. When we come to this complicated situation later on, where we have anekash dhatu beginning with ach, at that time we'll think about this second ach taking abhyasaha. So for us, at least for the next many examples, we'll have only one ach, be straightforward. So we have bhuva, so bhuva takes abhyasa, becomes bhuva. Then of course haladi sheshaha, and then rasvaha. So it becomes, so bhuva, because haladi sheshaha in abhyasa, hal can remain only if it's adi. So the vakara takes lopaha, it becomes bhuva, and then rasvaha. So only bhuva. Now last rule for today is bhavate raha. Last one for today. Now look at the number 7473. You know that in the abhyasa, when you look at the number 74, you should realize that we are in the abhyasa karyam. Means abhyasa bhage karyam, in the abhyasa bhagaha. So those who will start from 7458, atsalopo abhyasasya. We have seen rasvaha, we just used it. Aladi sheshaha, kuhoshchuho, urat. But these are samanya niyamaha. Any kind of abhyasa will take these rules. But then Panini goes in specific kinds of abhyasa. So when lit follows certain rules, and there sutram bhavate raha. So bhavate raha will not happen all the time, only when lit follows. So bhavate raha simply says that bhavate rabhyasasya abhyasokarasya asya liti. Bhavate rabhyasokarasya asya liti. So the akara is a substitute for the ukara of the abhyasa of the dhatu bhu only in lit. So one more time, the sutram applies only when lit follows, and only for the dhatu bhu. So the ukara becomes a akaraha. So we had bhu bhuva, it becomes bha bhuva by bhavate raha. Bhavate raha, bhavate raha, bhavate raha. In the abhyasa of the dhatu bhu, only when lit follows, the ukara becomes akaraha. Then finally abhyase charcha. Like we joke all the time, in the abhyasa we lose the prana. In the abhyasa the prana is lost, becomes alpa pranaha, babhuva. That's the prathama purusha ekavachanam. The dvivachanam will be similar. There are no new rules. Instead of getting the pratyaya null, we get the pratyaya atus. Atus clearly anekach, so no complications. So anekach is sarvasya. So same steps, bhu plus lit parokshe lit. Anubandha lopaha. Then pratyaya tas comes in by tiptas ji. Then the tas in this case gets a sanya of ardhadhatukam because sutram litcha. So therefore, because tibadayaha, normally things is sarvadhatukam. But litcha forces the ardhadhatuka sanya of ardhadhatukam. So in the place of lit, if we get tiptas ji, only sanya of only ardhadhatukam. So then we cannot use kartari shap. Then by the prasya padanam nal atus us etc. Nal atus us. So we get the atus adeshaha, and then anekash sarvasya, and then by the sutram navibhakto tusmaha, the sakara is not an it. And then we get the vuk agama, same steps. Bhuvo vuk lung litoho. It's ajadi pratyaha of lit, so vuk takes the vuk agamaha. And then adyantau takitau anubandha lopaha. But the ukara in vuk is ucharanarthaha, the kakar is an it, and we get the abhyasaha, the tit dhatu nabhyasasya, This dhatu has only one ach, very straightforward. That ach will take abhyasaha. So bhuva, bhuva atus, then haladi sheshaha, rasvaha, bhavate raha, bhavate raha, bhavate raha. The abhyasa of dhatu bhu, only when lit follows, takes the ukara takes the akara adesh, alontyasya, it takes the akara adeshaha, and we get babhuvatus, then rutta visargau, then abhyase charcha, babhuvatuho. Same thing in the bahuvachanam, we get the pratyaya, us, babhuvuho. So today it's an important day. We inaugurate Udghatanam of the lit lakara prakaranam. So it's a very important lakara. We'll get plenty of examples. Even today we might go learn a little bit fast. You might be a little bit, a lot of new things for you. But for the next few years, at least, we'll get many examples of these sutras. So the first time you heard Kartari Shap, it was new, right? Similarly, today you heard Litcha. So it become, Liti Dhaturana Bhyasasya. These might be sounding new to you today, but very shortly they'll become very common to you. So please follow the examples. Okay, today December 10th, Prathama Bhagaha, Vyakarana Bhagaha. Next class will be on December 24. We'll continue with a lot of examples of lit in the next few classes now. So today December 10, this 2:30 to 4:15 class. We'll come back in 10 minutes for the Ramayanam. How are we doing, Ravi? We're okay? Ravi, we're fine?
Yes, Rishi.
Okay, thank you for recording, and thank you everybody. So this is December 10, first class. Next class will be Ramayanam in 10-15 minutes, and next class will be after 2 weeks, December 24. Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Vihata Nishachada Chamu Rama Tasmai Namaha Raman Nasti Paranam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittales Sada Bhotume Bhoram Mamuddhara Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tatulyam Rama Nama Varanane Shri Rama Nama Varanana On Nama Iti. Okay, we'll come back in 15 minutes for Ramayana. Thank you. Dhanyavada. Hari Om.